Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Here I am to complete the course, listening and speaking to. We will have so many lectures. As you know that you have taken unit number 1 and 2. Some groups have taken unit number 1, and some others have taken unit number 1 and 2. So here I'm going to focus on unit number 3. And in this lecture, we are going to focus on speaking section. And the textbook, as you know, Real Listening and Speaking 3. This lecture is given by الجواد الأسطل and الجواد الأسطل. The first things we want to look is looking for accommodation. Many students travel abroad, and when they travel abroad, the first thing they look for is accommodation to live in. So there are types of accommodation. So we can have semi-detached house. What is semi-detached house? Semi-detached house is a house where you have two houses very close to each other. They are linked together, and each of them has its own door. Other type, a cottage. A cottage where it's very small and the roof is not flat. A terraced house. Terraced house, we have so many houses, maybe 10, 4, 11, or even 20. And these houses are linked together. There is no gap between them. So, detached house. Detached house is a house where it is isolated, no house is close to it, and it is detached, isolated from other houses. Other type of accommodation, block of flats, where you can have your flats in a tower. Tower is a large building where it may contain 50 flats or even 100 flats, and so on. Another, there is a guest house. Most of the students, when they travel abroad, go to the guest house for some days. So then they go to other settlement. Hostel. Hostel, where you go to the hostel, and you have in the hostel, you can have your own room, and this room is shared by other persons. Other persons share the room with you, and usually the bathroom is also shared by other persons. A hotel. So we can have a hotel. The hotel, you have your own room, and the room is your own. No one share it with you, and usually the bathroom is your own. It is not shared with other person. Example of using the word. We can say, I live in a flat. My flat number is A32. It is in Al-Zahir Tower. The other thing we want to talk about is adjectives to describe houses and flats. There are so many adjectives to describe houses and flats. Some of these adjectives are positive and others are negatives. Why we say positive? They are positive because they give positive idea about them. And negative adjectives give negative idea about the houses and flats we describe. So the first positive adjective I want you to learn is modern. So you can say, my house is modern. This adjective is positive. It gives positive idea. Negative adjective. Shabby. We can describe the house as shabby. What does it mean, shabby? Shabby means in a bad condition. It means it conveys the idea. When I say my house is shabby, it gives the idea that my house is in a bad condition. Let's go to another two adjectives. Private. Private is positive adjective also. It gives positive idea. So when we say my house is private, it's my own, it's private. Negative adjective, dingy. Dingy. Dingy, when I describe the house as dingy, it means it is dirty looking. Other adjectives. Quiet. Quiet. So when I describe the house as quiet, it gives a positive adjective. And the other as its opposite, noisy. Noisy is negative adjective because it gives negative idea. Spacious. Spacious. You can describe the house as spacious, means it's wide and so spacious. So we can say the house I live in is spacious. Negative adjective, cramped. Cramped. So the house is cramped, or this house is cramped, this flat is cramped. It means it's cramped. Other two adjectives, comfortable. So comfortable is positive adjective. Negative adjective, isolated. Isolated. When we say isolated, it means it's far from the city center, it's far from school, it's far from the railway station, and so on. It's isolated from other houses. Bright. The house can be described as bright, and this house is bright, and so it gives positive adjective, positive idea. Now we can describe the house as messy. It's not architecture and it's not arranged, so it is messy. So the things inside the house also, furnitures, you can say laundry room, etc. They are messy. Everything could be messy in the house. Example of using these adjectives to describe a house or a flat. So we can use many adjectives in the same sentence. So we can say, my house is modern, spacious, but isolated. So why I used but here? I used but because while as modern and spacious are positive adjective, isolated is negative. It doesn't go in the same group. So we have to use but. Another example. My flat is cramped, shabby, and noisy. Here, as you notice, I used and. And why I used and here? Because cramped, shabby, and noisy are three adjectives, and they are all of them are negative adjectives. So goes in the same. They are the same. Idea gives the same. So they are all of them are negative. Let's go to another thing. So in this, I want you to know something about asking about alternative. So when you go to a property agent, asking him to rent a flat or a house, or you are looking for accommodation, he may show you a house or a flat or anything. So, but you want to look for other thing. How you say and how you ask about alternative. Let us see. To ask about alternative, you can use the following forms. There are some forms which you have to use. The first one. Suppose that agent shows you a house, and this house is not close, or is not near railway station. So you are looking for a house which is near railway station. So you say to him, do you have anything? Do you have anything near railway station? Another situation, so you are looking for a house near the university. So you say, do you have anything near the university? Another example, you can say, do you have anything near, you can say near, in the city center, you can say, do you have anything in the city center? Another example. This is another form you can use to ask about alternative. Is there anything? So you are looking, he shows you something, a house or flat that is near the airport, but you don't like to stay near the airport because it is a noisy area. So you say, is there anything away from the airport? I want you to focus on what is written in blue color, it's in green color. Okay. Another form. Don't you have anything larger? So the house, suppose that he shows you a house or a flat, and this house is small, and you are looking for larger because the member of your family cannot, your family is large, and so that you don't want to live in a small house. So don't you have anything larger? What we realize in each of these three forms, in each of them there is a comparison between what the agent shows you and what you are looking for. So he shows you something and you are looking for something else. So you ask him about alternative. So in the first example, the comparison is between the house which is far from railway station and what you are looking for, that's a house near railway station. In the second example, also he shows you something that is near the airport and you are looking for something away from the airport. In the third example, he shows you something small and you are looking for something larger than what you have seen, what the agent shows you. The other forms I want you to focus on is to express preference. To express your preference. So also here we have comparison. But the comparison is that while in the first, and when you ask for alternative, the meaning is that you don't want what he shows you. But here, to express the preference, you can accept it, you can take it, you can take what the agent shows you, but you prefer something else that is better for you. Let us see. So, you can say, I'd rather have something with a garage. So the meaning here is that the agent shows you something without garage, and you are looking for something with a garage. So the comparison here between what he shows you that is something without a garage, and here you are looking, you prefer something with a garage, perhaps because you have a car. Next example. Example number 2. I'd prefer something closer to a school. So he shows you something which doesn't have, where there is no school close to the house, to the thing he shows you, to the house or the flat. So you prefer something closer to the house you have seen. So the school is closer to the house. Let's look for another thing, that is comparative and superlative adjectives. When we look for accommodation, when we talk about something that include two or more than two things, we need to use either comparative and superlative adjectives. So they are very important so the use of comparative and superlative adjectives is very important when we compare between two things or more. Now, let us listen to video to get an idea about their forms and uses. Forms and uses of comparative and superlative adjectives. The video also will speak about comparative and superlative adverbs.
Are you sometimes wondering whether to say easier or more easy? Are you unsure whether you should say better than or better as? Then join me in this lesson for a review of comparative and superlative adjectives and adverbs. Hello and welcome everyone, this is Minu at AngloLink. In this lesson, we're going to review comparative adjectives and adverbs and look at some common mistakes that you might be making with them. We'll end the lesson with an exercise so you can check your understanding. By the end of the lesson, you will have a better idea of how to use comparative and superlative adjectives and adverbs and how to avoid some common mistakes. So, when you're ready, we can begin. Common mistakes with comparative and superlative adjectives and adverbs. Before we look at the common mistakes, let's have a general review of this type of adjectives and adverbs. Let's start by looking at what a comparative adjective is. A comparative adjective compares someone or something with someone or something else. For example, Karen is shorter than Bob, or physics is more interesting than maths. So what is a superlative adjective? A superlative adjective compares someone or something to every other person or object in the group. So, for example, Karen is shorter than all her siblings, which means that Karen is the shortest child. Or, physics is more interesting than all other subjects, and therefore, physics is the most interesting subject. Right, let's look at formulation. To form a comparative adjective, you must add er to it if it is a one-syllable word. For example, short, shorter, nice, nicer. And if it is a multi-syllable word, then you must add more before it. And also, you must use more with all participle adjectives. For example, difficult is a multi-syllable word, and therefore you should say more difficult. Interesting is a multi-syllable word, and it is a participle adjective. So, we get more interesting. The same with interested. More interested. Now look at loved. It's a one-syllable word, but it is a participle adjective. Therefore, you should also say more loved. Now, to form a superlative adjective, you must add est to it and the before it if it is a one-syllable word. For example, short, the shortest. Nice, the nicest. And of course, if it is a multi-syllable word, then you need to use most before it, and also with all participle adjectives. So difficult, the most difficult. Interesting, the most interesting. Interested, the most interested. And loved, the most loved. Right, what about adverbs? Well, the same rule applies to adverbs. One-syllable adverbs, such as fast, late, early, etc., take ER and EST. For example, he speaks faster than me. And he speaks the fastest among all my friends. And if you have a multisyllable adverb, which means all ly adverbs, you need to use more and most. For example, she draws more beautifully than me. She draws most beautifully among all my friends. Of course, there are some exceptions. Let's look at them. The first one is to do with a few irregular adjectives and adverbs. Let's have a look. Good, better, best. Well, meaning in good health, also better, best. Well, as an adverb of good, also better, best. Bad, worse, worst. And badly also. Worse, worst. Much and many, more and most. Little, less and least. And finally, far. There are two possibilities for far. One is farther and farthest, and the other one is further and furthest. Right, moving on to exception 2. There are a few two-syllable adjectives that can take either ER and EST or more and most. Some common ones are quiet, polite, simple, friendly, lovely, also lively. So, for example, you can say, my area is quieter than yours, or my area is more quiet than yours. And finally, exception number 3. With these common one-syllable adjectives, you should use more and most instead of ER and EST. These are ill, real, right, wrong, and fun. For example, swimming is more fun than jogging. Okay, that brings us to the common mistakes. Common mistake number 1. A common mistake is to use ER or more instead of EST or most. So you may hear, she is the nicer person I know. Because you want a superlative adjective here, you need to say, she is the nicest person I know. Or the mistake can be, she is the more intelligent person I know. As you now know, you need to say, she's the most intelligent person I know. Let's move on to common mistake number 2. Another common mistake is to use more and ER or both EST and most. For example, he is more quicker than me. No, you should say, he is quicker than me. The other example would be, he is the most quickest runner in class. As you can see, most is redundant. He is the quickest runner in class. And finally, common mistake number 3. Another common mistake is to use as instead of than or vice versa. For example, you may hear, he is quicker as me. When you're making a comparison, you must use than, never as. He is quicker than me. If you want to express similarity or sameness, then you use as. He is as quick as me. Right then, that's the end of the lesson. Let's move on to our exercises. I want you to choose the correct form of the word in brackets to complete each sentence. And make sure you add the words the, more, most, and than when necessary. For example, could you speak, please? The adjective is slow, and you need to say, could you speak more slowly, please? Okay. Number 1. Yesterday I finished work, usual, late. Yesterday I finished work later than usual. Number 2. Roses smell, tulips, good. Roses smell better than tulips. Number 3. This is story I've ever heard. Amazing. This is the most amazing story I've ever heard. Number 4. She earns me. Little. She earns less than me. Number 5. I sleep, you. Much. I sleep more than you. Number 6. The movie is the book. Bad. The movie is worse than the book. Number 7. Pluto is planet from the sun. Far. Pluto is the furthest or the farthest planet from the sun. Number 8. This is meal I've ever had. Bad. This is the worst meal I've ever had. Number 9. Julie works among all my colleagues. Hard. Julie works the hardest among all my colleagues. And finally, number 10. He drives his wife. Careful. He drives more carefully than his wife. Right, that's the end of this lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you know, you can now go to our website, anglolink.com, for more explanations and exercises on different topics. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in my next lesson. Bye now.
Okay, after listening to the video about comparative and superlative adjectives, let us go for other things, other forms you need to use in your English language. So here I want you to focus on asking for permission. How you can ask permission from someone to do something. So you want to do something and you want to take the permission from other person to do it. So you can use the following 3 forms to ask permission to do something. The first I want you to focus on is it okay if I? Is it okay if I? Example. Is it okay if I have broadband internet? Now, you have a house, you rented a house, and the internet is not available. So you want to take permission from the owner to have a broadband internet. So you can say, is it okay if I have broadband internet? What we realize here is that the main verb must be in present simple tense. Next form. As I was wondering if I could. I was wondering if I could. Example about it. I was wondering if I could get cable TV. So you are asking permission to get cable TV. So here also the verb is in the present simple tense, get. What we realize here is that what I want to say here is that the first example, is it okay if I, is informal. And this can be used between colleagues, friends, streets, and between people of the same position. Example number 2 is very polite and it is formal. I was wondering if I could. Another example, another form. Would you mind if I? Let us take example. Would you mind if I painted the kitchen with a different color? So here, while in example number 1, the form number 1 and form number 2, the verb is in present simple tense. In this form, the verb must be in past simple tense. So, would you mind if I painted the house, the kitchen with a different color? So you rented the house, or you and you want to paint the kitchen with a different color because you are not happy with the color the kitchen the kitchen is painted with. Now, let us get more example about these 3 forms. So you can say, is it okay if I get cable TV? Is it okay if I borrow your pen? Is it okay if I park my car here? Okay. Another, for the example number 2, I was wondering if I could. I was wondering if I could come late. I was wondering if I could open the window, and so on. For form number 3, would you mind if I painted the kitchen with a different color? You can say also another example. Would you mind if I would you mind if I borrow your car? Would you mind if I park my car here? Would you mind if I got your pen, and so on. Another form I want you to focus on is how to make request. How to make request. You request here, I want you to focus on how you are requesting someone to do something for you. So you want someone to do something for you, therefore you have to request him to do something for you. So you can use the following 2 forms to ask someone to do something for you. Number 1, you can say, could you? Could you? Example. Suppose now you rented a house, and this house is furnished, but the heating doesn't work properly. So you want someone to fix it for you. So what you say, you can first state the problem, then use the form or ask someone to, or request someone to do something for you. So you can say, the heating doesn't work properly. Could you get it fixed, please? So, could you? And the verb is in present simple tense. Must be. It must be in the present simple tense. About this form, you can also firstly make the request, then state the problem why you are making the request. So, could you get the heating fixed? It doesn't work properly. So, why you are asking him to get the heating fixed? Because it doesn't work properly. Other example. Would you mind? Other form you can use to make request. Would you mind? Example. The window in my bedroom is broken. So suppose that the window in your bedroom is broken and you want to request someone to repair it or replace it. So what you say? The window in my bedroom is broken. First you state the problem, then you make the request. Would you mind replacing it? So the window in my bedroom is broken. Would you mind replacing it? What we realize here? We realize that the verb is in gerund form. So the verb replace, then we add ing. You can state the problem, then make the request. Or you can make the request and then state the problem why you are requesting him to do this for him. So would you mind replacing the window in my bedroom? It is broken. It is broken. Next. So wish you all the best. That's all this lecture. If you have any question, you can contact me through Moodle, through your comments and message. Welcome to for the discussion, and we have created a group for you.